It's pretty safe to say that the Phillies have been stepping into the batter's box at a disadvantage the last couple of days. Well, out of the frying pan and into the fire. Day number 3 doesn't get any more comfortable in Queens. Matt Harvey takes the mound and makes his first start at Citi Field since 2013. Ryne Sandberg was telling guys like Odubel Herrera these were the kind of games that he looked forward to when the ace of the other team is on the mound. And that's the case tonight here at Citi Field as the Phils and the Mets get together for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis. It's Matt Harvey who takes the baseball tonight for the New York Mets against David Buchanan. We'll talk about David in just a little bit. But for Matt Harvey, 13 wins in his major league career, but he has an awful lot of fanfare that follows him.
People here love him, and rightfully so. This guy is very, very talented, but there's a lot of hype for a guy with just 13 wins. We know about the Tommy John surgery last season. We know the battles that he had to go through to get back, but his last outing, first one of the year against the Nationals, he was as good as could be. And we talked to folks around here. Do they liken him to a Doc Gooden? They said he is as dominant as Doc Gooden, but he has 4 pitches where Doc only had the 2.
Take a look at his career numbers. 37 starts coming in, an ERA of 2.33. Terry Collins said yesterday that it's still a soft pitch count for Matt Harvey coming off the Tommy John surgery, so he'll be anywhere between 90 and 100 pitches. All right, on the flip side for the Phillies, if they're going to face a guy like Matt Harvey, they've got to play better baseball, fundamental baseball. That hasn't been the case in every game so far.
No, it hasn't. And we know that's not a ball club that are going to hit a lot of 3-run homers, so they have to do the little things to advance runners into scoring position and get timely hitting. Now, recently, executing the fundamentals hasn't really helped the Phillies at all, and it's with the bunting. You see a lot of these bunts going right back to the pitcher. They're bouncing off the mound, making the play and executing it out at third. You have to do this for a team that doesn't hit a lot of home runs. You just have to. They have to be better at it.
Ryne Sandberg talked about that at length again today, and he said he hopes that the juggling of his lineup, because he has Odubel Herrera leading it off, Ben Revere down in the number 8 spot, maybe that will make a difference. All right, what about David Buchanan? Coming off his first start of 2015, it was rocky for 3 innings. Well, Greg Murphy had a chance to talk to Bob McClure about David Buchanan.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Here with Bob McClure. And Bob, David Buchanan gets his second start of this young season and stumbled out of the gate a little bit in his first start. And I know he is amped to get back out on the mound. What are you hoping to see out of the young guy tonight?
Well, obviously a lot better than last time. It kind of surprised him and surprised us the way he pitched through spring training. So, we expect a less jittery, a more kind of aggressive but calm kind of demeanor and pitch count way low. He's normally not a high pitch count guy. So we're looking for a lot of good things. Keep the ball down, get ahead, get the ball on the ground, and let your guys play and low pitch count and get us through 7, 8, 9 innings.
David is a very confident man, and when he has an outing like that, do you feel the need to sit with him and say, hey, just let that one go and worry about the next one? He's still a young guy, still getting his major league career underway. Yeah, I did mention something, actually along those lines, but we didn't sit down and talk about, blah, blah, blah. I says, basically it's good, get that one out of the way, and I'll see you on your side day, because, part of it is jitter. Part of it, I don't care who you are. Part of it is, it's your first time. You're pitching third in the rotation. The expectations he puts on himself are high, which I think led to more than anything what happened. So once he settles in, I think he's going to be fine. All right, the good news is he can fall back on what he did this spring, which certainly was terrific down there in Clearwater. Guys, Tom, send it back to you.
All right, Murph, thank you very much. So will be David Buchanan, opposed tonight by Matt Harvey, both guys making their second starts of 2015. Well, yesterday the Mets were able to squeak out a victory, a 2-0 win. Ben Revere, how about this play? He's at a different spot in the lineup, but is back in left field. We'll get to those lineups when we come back. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank. One deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. By Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at ibx.com. Arrivals, I guess, if that's what their expectations are. Matt Harvey, David Wright, the rest of the Mets are about to take the fields. A lot of cards have been exchanged at home plate. First start for Matt Harvey since 2013 here at Citi Field. Let's take a look at the Phillies starting lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment home of the Philadelphia Phillies. So Odubel Herrera leads it off in center field. Freddie Galvis bats second. He's been red hot. Chase Utley will hit third. Ryan Howard cleanup. Carlos Ruiz is the catcher. He'll hit fifth. Cody Ashley has also been hot. He'll bat sixth. The bottom third of Sizemore, Revere, and we'll talk about why Ben is in the 8th spot in the Phillies lineup, and then David Buchanan. And they'll face right-hander Matt Harvey. Harvey, 1-0, no ERA, 6 innings scoreless. His last game, he went out to the mound ready to warm up. Is still waiting for the ceremonial first pitches to be thrown. Nice enough to shake hands, but he's probably in some kind of a zone right now.
Yeah, those pitchers are funny. They get in their routine and they don't want anything to change that. But that was very nice of him to shake a serviceman's hand.
Well, 9 strikeouts his last time out. He threw 91 pitches. Scattering report on Matt Harvey. Nothing's really changed, Ben, since he had the Tommy John surgery. In fact, they say he's throwing as hard, if not a little harder, than he was back then.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Phillies, nothing has changed. He is as advertised, and it's amazing. We talked in the open about how much hype there is for a guy that's won 13 career games, but You know, you look at the scouting report, 93 to 96, and he's got all four: curve, slider, change, and he is 4-0 with a 1.08 minuscule ERA against the Phillies.
That is our Budweiser scouting report. So as he warms up, we look at the Phillies lineup, which is scuffled obviously so far this year. And you see the fastball of his first start, 95.6. The fastball before his surgery averaged 95.8, so it's not too far off. But as we mentioned, there are some folks that say that eventually he will be able to throw harder than he did before he went on the disabled list. Kind of interesting listening to Ryan Sandberg talk about facing a guy like Matt Harvey. Sandberg, of course, the Hall of Famer, said that he used to get up to face guys like Doc Gooden, people of that stature. He made him focus even more. He looked forward to it as a hitter.
Absolutely. You want to be the best, you have to beat the best, and Harvey is the best right now. I mean, I used to love facing Randy Johnson. The results weren't always good, but you got up for it. You enjoyed the competition factor.
Well, it's time now for our Nissan keys to tonight's ball game.
Well, plain and simple, buck up. David Buchanan's nickname is Buck. Buck up. He's got to be better than he was in his last start. The others, don't give Harvey too much credit. He's going to be throwing the same baseballs as DeGrom did yesterday, as Scherzer did on Sunday, so just be ready to hit.
Well, this is his first start here at home since August 24th of 2013, and this is remarkable to watch. The chanting in the background of the first pitch. In there for a strike. Odubel Herrera 4 for 18 so far in the season, 1 for 4 in yesterday's ball game with a strikeout. His average at 222. Ryan Sandberg's made some adjustments to his lineup, A, because he wanted to get Galvis into the 2 spot, but B, quite frankly, he doesn't think Ben Revere is being aggressive enough as the leadoff hitter. The 0-2 pitch to Herrera. Outside, 1-2.
Like a cult hero, Tom.
It's remarkable for, as you said, a guy that has just 13 wins in his big league career. Swing and a miss. He got it with a breaking pitch. First strikeout for Matt Harvey. And 1 out here in the first. He threw his curveball more in his last start than his slider. And there's the first curveball of the night.
Yeah, not a very good swing there by Herrera. Obviously, the speed of the pitch fooled him. And the last pitch was 98, and then he's got to see that hook.
Now, in a lot of ways, that's a hittable hook right there, isn't it?
It is. These folks are going nuts. It was hittable, but again, you got to gear up for that 98.
Here's Freddie Galvis. Galvis off to a hot start. Takes a breaking ball in the inside corner. Galvis was 3 for 3 in yesterday's ball game, hitting .400. Drops in another breaking ball, and it's 0-2. So back-to-back breaking pitches, back-to-back curveballs. Swing and a miss. He got it with a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, and there are 2 outs. Back-to-back Ks for Matt Harvey. Well, he certainly has a little bit of an adrenaline rush going on here.
I mean, that ball is... you could say it was hittable, but still 99.
A little tail right at the end. Well, now Chase Utley, who's mired in his worst start of his career. 2 for 22 on the season, hitting .091. He actually has good numbers against Harvey, just 13 at bats. He's 4 for 13.
You go up against a guy that can be overpowering at times. It's so nice to have a short swing like Chase has, because you can trust your hands and feel like you can get to a pitch.
That one's off the third base line. David Wright will give it a look, and it's out of play. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. That's a good way to look at it, is that you trust your hands, and you have to be as short as possible against a guy like this.
Absolutely.
That was a changeup. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. First changeup of the day. One-two pitch to Utley. Hooks that one down the right field line. Granderson on the run. It is gone! Into Utley's corner, and the Phillies have taken a 1-0 lead. 10 home runs here at Citi Field. 10 home runs in nearly the exact spot. It's 1-0 Phils, the first homer of the year for Chase Utley. And with that home run, Michael Adam of Sinking Spring, we didn't even let you know that you are our McDonald's home run jackpot contestant. You've won $200.
He goes back to that breaking ball, and you talk about a short swing. That is it. Right into Utley's corner.
Well, now Ryan Howard is the batter, and Howard takes a healthy hack at the first pitch. It's 0-1. You said you had to gear up for 98, 99. Well, Utley, with that short swing, was able to recover and poke it into that corner.
It is something.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, he has 1 or 2 that are to the left of that corner, but it's pretty much everything is down that right field line.
Well, his power, especially as he gets older, you know, it's going to be to his pull field, and that obviously is right field. But I'll tell you what, the proximity of those home runs is hard to believe.
Well, it breaks a string of 61 innings since Harvey last allowed a home run. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Howard. High fastball, swung on a miss, so he strikes out 3, but the Phillies strike first with their first run in this series. A solo shot by Chase Utley, his first home run of the season. He pulled a breaking pitch right down the right field line and has given the Phillies a 1-0 lead. The sweet swing of Chase Utley had been kind of dormant the first week of the season, but it looks like they've woken him up, and the Phils take the lead going to the bottom of the first. Swing, Ben, right out front.
Right out in front, but he keeps his bat through the hitting zone. I mean, it's a swing you really cannot teach, to have a short swing like that. You let him provide the power. Yes, it was a breaking ball, but still went up top.
All right, let's take a look at the Mets starting lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment home of the Philadelphia Phillies. Granderson, Wright, and Duda, followed by Kadire, Murphy, and Darno. Juan Lagares is in center field batting 7th, Wilmer Flores 8th. And then Matt Harvey bats 9th. And they'll face Phillies right-hander David Buchanan. Kind of interesting listening to Bob McClure talk about the jitters, hoping the jitters are out of David Buchanan. First pitch to Granderson is taken inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Granderson has walked 9 times this year. He's 1 for 18 as a hitter. Takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Budweiser scouting report on David Buchanan.
Well, 90-92, throws off 4 just like Harvey. Curve, change, and cutter.
That one is poked into left, a base hit for Granderson.
In 2014, he was 0-2 with a 3.38 ERA against the Mets. Murph?
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk with David Buchanan this morning, and I said, are you ready for tonight? He said he has been ready since the 4th inning of his first start. We heard what Bob McClure had to say. Yeah, certainly there were some jitters for David Buchanan in his first start of the season, but he said what he was really upset about it was he allowed things to snowball on him a little bit and wasn't able to kind of put out the fire, hoping to do a better job there tonight. He said he did talk to Bob McClure about it, but he also talked to Cole Hamels about it. He said Cole gave him some really good advice about putting that outing behind him and looking forward. He's going to have about 30 more starts this season, and that's what he needs to concentrate on. So some good advice from Cole Hamels. David Buchanan expects to be much better tonight.
Where'd you talk to David, Murph?
We had breakfast. I don't know. It was a little place right around the corner. I was eating. He joined me. It was very nice.
1 ball and no strikes to David Wright. Wright yesterday was 1 for 3. Inside, it's 2-0. By the way, that home run by Chase Utley, we might want to point out, it snapped the longest home run drought of his career. It was 175 at-bats, 197 plate appearances. And he gives the Phils a 1-0 lead. 2-0 pitch is lined into left field, a base hit. Revere gets to it quickly. Granderson will hold up at second. Well, 2 hits right out of the chute for the Mets.
You fall behind hitters, they know what's coming. They're going to get a fastball, and David doesn't have an overpowering fastball. He's got a good one, but not overpowering. David Wright puts a good swing on it and drives it to left.
Well, now he'll face the left-hander Lucas Duda. Now his numbers against lefties have been very good since he put a Phillies uniform on. Let's see if he can get Duda to hit into a double play. Falls behind again. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Duda yesterday was 0 for 4. He's 8 for 25 on the season. There's a changeup in there for a strike. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
And I think that's a pitch you'll see David use quite a bit more tonight, is that changeup. It is a really good one. Comes out of his hand cleanly.
He used only 13% of the pitches he threw the other day, but it's partly because he was behind so many guys.
Correct.
Does it again. In there for strike 2. It's 1-2. That spot where he just threw it last year, the opposition hit under 100 against David Buchanan's changeup. Partly, I guess, because lefties give up on it. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Duda. Curveball swung on and missed. 1 away. Good pitch.
Had some bite on it, didn't it,
Sure
Tom?
did. Well, that's a pitch he worked on an awful lot in spring training. So we were talking about the changeup location last year. His numbers are outstanding no matter where he throws it. But inside to the lefties, 0.77.
Yeah, and I think that's an effect of his cutter, because he can ride that cutter in. If the hitters see a ball that's inside, they may think it's that fastball. Or the cutter, they have to get it started. It's a changeup. It's a different speed. They're out in front.
Michael Kadire is now the batter. He had 2 hits yesterday, including a triple that was misjudged by Grady Sizemore. And Buchanan just misses on that pitch. I think he wanted it from the home plate umpire, Alfonso Marquez. Overall, Kadire, who signed a free agent contract from the Colorado Rockies organization this past offseason, hitting .250 with a home run. Back toward the middle, off the mound, into center field, a base hit. Granderson's around third. He'll score. Throw is cut off by Ryan Howard. We're tied up at 1. 3 singles in the inning for the Mets.
Doesn't try and do too much with it. Just stays up the middle, stays within himself. Knocks it up the middle for an RBI.
So Granderson scores his 5th run of the year. And here is Daniel Murphy, who doubled in yesterday's ball game, hitting just $136 so far. Curveball in there, 0-1. David Buchanan, his last 10 starts, even though his earned run average is just a hair over 3, he is 0-4 dating back to last year. That one's popped up. Late swing. Ashy into foul territory. Infield fly rule is called. 2 outs. And Travis d'Arnaud is coming up. Ben, David told us the other day that he felt like he was too cutter happy in his last start. You guys pointed out how he was kind of throwing across his body. The ball was sailing against right-handed hitters, and he agreed with you about that assessment. That he said, I just got too happy throwing the cutters. He said, I need to be more communicative with Ruiz about that pitch.
Yeah, he definitely was pulling that pitch down across his body. Pitches were down in the lefties, down and away to righties.
But an important pitch, I would think, against right-handed hitters.
It absolutely is. And the good thing, what David can do is throw it to both sides of the plate. He can front door that cutter to a righty, so they're going to give up on it, or he can go down and away with it. It's a late breaking cutter. It's a great pitch. Like anything else, you don't want to fall in love with it.
Oh, and 1 to d'Arnaud. He was 0 for 3 with a sac fly last night, or I should say yesterday. 6 for 21 on the season. Fouls it back, and it's 0-2. Ruiz looking down at the feet of Travis d'Arnaud as he flashes the signs. Curveball hit back toward the middle. Utley is there, and he'll throw d'Arnaud out. Side is retired, but the Mets do get the run back on an RBI single by Michael Kadire. They leave a couple, so we're all even at 1 as we go to the 2nd. $1 million trees in 13 counties in southeastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware by 2020. We're proud to offer a limited number of complimentary trees to our fans to aid in this effort. For more information on the program or to order a tree, visit Phillies.com/redgoesgreen. You need a tree, Ben?
No, I got plenty out at the farm.
You do?
Yeah. Quite a few.
You want to donate some of them? Here's Carlos Ruiz to start it off in the top of the second. Harvey delivers a strike, and it's 0-1.
It's the first right-hander that Harvey has seen tonight.
Chopper over the mounds. Daniel Murphy is there. And there's one. And now Cody Ashe. Ashe hitting .444. Mentioned that Ryan Sandberg has adjusted his lineup today, and we'll talk a little bit about that as the game moves on. Ashe moves up a spot in the lineup after going 2 for 4 yesterday with a couple singles.
And let's not forget his last at bat off Familia in the 9th inning. He murdered a ball to dead center. It was caught, but he smoked it.
1 ball, no strikes to him. 1 ball, 1 strike. He doesn't have as short a swing as Chase Utley, but his swing seems to be a little more conducive to getting after a guy like Matt Harvey.
It's tight, and he stays connected, you know, with his backside, with his back elbow. He never really gets out around the ball. It's a very direct route to the baseball.
Out of play, and it's 2-2.
Big fan of what he's doing right now at the plate.
Yeah, as a team, the Phillies aren't really firing up the offense. They're hitting just 209 coming in, but he and Ashe are having the best at bats. Fastball on the inside corner. We just as soon as we said that, Matt Harvey picks up his 4th strikeout already here in the second.
Yeah, it's not where d'Arnaud was set up, but this ball just ends up being on the inside corner there. Definitely a strike. That's really the first spot that he's missed. I mean, it still was a strike, like I said, but he's been pretty good with his location tonight.
He has faced the Phillies for 35 innings during his career. It's been a short career so far. He has 42 strikeouts during that time. Foul ball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
That's more than 1 in an inning, Tom.
That is more than 1 in an inning, Ben.
Nothing gets past me.
"26 years old. Breaking ball, and it's 1-2. I mentioned before he had the Tommy John surgery, he threw more sliders than curveballs. Now, the first 2 games are any indication, he likes his curveball better right now than his slider. But is that a result of the Tommy John surgery?
No, it's just, you know, what you have a feel for at the time. I mean, that may change from game to game.
In the dirt with a changeup, 2-2.
It's like a hitter. If you're doing something at the plate that's uncharacteristic of what you normally do, but you're getting results, getting good results, you're going to stay with it.
Got him with a high fastball. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 5 overall. And the Phillies go down in order here in the top of the second inning. So, middle of the second, we're in a 1-1 game between the Phils and the Mets. And start your day with Rob Ellis, Julian Neely, Barrett Brooks, and Sarah Baker on Breakfast on Broad, presented by Virtua Joint Replacement Institute. Weekday mornings at 6 until 8 over on the Comcast Network. Bottom of the second inning, Juan Lagares leads it off against David Buchanan. Lagares 1 for 3 with an RBI in yesterday's game. He takes a change up low. Actually, that was a fastball. It's 1 ball and no strikes. And he pulls that one foul on the left field line. And it is even 1 ball and 1 strike. Alfonso Marquez is behind the plate tonight. Over at first base, Bruce Dreckman, or excuse me, Dan Bellino. Over at second base is Bruce Dreckman, and Tom Hallion's at third. Back toward the middle, and another base hit. Toyota Major League Scoreboard. The Red Sox have jumped out to a 4-1 lead over the Nationals. That game's in the top of the 4th inning. Mookie Betts with 2 RBIs. Did you see that catch he made yesterday?
Yes. Hey, this kid is impressing me. He really is. I like him.
Also hit a home run in yesterday's ball game. Now Wilmer Flores, who has 4 hits on the year. He bunts up the third base line. It's going to go foul. He was bunting for a base hit, but it's really odd to bunt with a pitcher in the on-deck circle. I know you want to get a guy in a scoring position, but with nobody out and a pitcher on deck, well, everybody has their game plans.
Yeah. I wonder how Harvey's elbow was affected by hitting. You know, I was a switch hitter, but after I had my Tommy John, I felt it more when I was hitting because, you know, you get into that contact point. I'd feel the vibration in my elbow after the surgery. So I'm sure that affected him as well.
Curveball, and it's 0-2. Was that a long-term thing or was that a short-term thing?
No, I think mainly it was just breaking up scar tissue. I think getting that out of there. I'm sure he didn't take as many swings as I did, though.
Yeah, your Tommy John surgery happened when you were still playing as a catcher, not as a pitcher. No balls, 2 strikes to Flores.
For those folks watching at home, no, Carlos Ruiz did not go out and get a manicure today. He has his fingernails painted so the pitcher can see the signs. Sometimes with the shadows, it's very tough for a pitcher to see the signs, and sometimes they go with a fluorescent color, as Chooch did tonight.
Out of play again. It remains no balls and 2 strikes. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Budweiser is still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Yeah, a lot of times you'll see catchers go down and get some chalk on their hands to kind of give the pitcher a little more insight.
Not that old stadium, it was flat out hard to see as it was. The lights were yellow.
Oh, at Shea Stadium?
Oh,
really?
Yeah. So I had a lot of pitchers want me to do that.
What color did you go with usually?
Mostly like a neon or whiteout. Whiteout always worked.
Is that why you still use the old-fashioned whiteout?
That's right.
And not the tape that everybody else uses?
That's right. I just had to correct my scorecard here. Caught you off guard, didn't it? The old school whiteout.
I thought you were taking an inhaler or something because you were shaking it as if you had some asthma issues. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Flores. Runner goes, pitches inside, hits it right in the hands. And Flores will be aboard. Ray Ramirez, the Mets athletic trainer, comes trotting out. Terry Collins will meet Flores on the base path. Alfonso Marquez right now is chatting with Carlos Ruiz. I don't think he laid any warnings out there. Ruiz is looking over toward the dugout. Maybe he did.
You're not going to work that hard to get a hitter out.
No
throw
way.
that many pitches to him and then plunk him.
I wonder if Ruiz was also asking if the ball hit the bat, if it was a foul ball and it wasn't actually off his hand. Larry Bowa went to that phone rather quickly. Or if he even, well, he didn't offer at it. Take a look. It looked like it hit his hand.
Yep.
Take a listen. So Flores goes to first, up to second is Lagares, and now Harvey is up in a sacrifice situation. 139 career hitter. Bunts a curveball in the air, and Ruiz makes the catch. One away.
A lot of schools of thought as to what to throw hitters when they're bunting. Do I stay with something hard, because that's the hardest pitch, or do I throw a breaking ball, something that's spinning? Here's a breaking ball, and that's what pitchers tend to do. They move their bat around too much on breaking balls. They raise it, and then they lower it, and that's often the result. A lot of guys just say, you know, stay with the hard, high stuff. And they'll pop it up that way, but breaking balls, they get that result as well.
Throw behind Lagares, and he's back ahead of the tag. You had control of the situation. Would you call a curveball in that spot sometimes when the pitcher's up trying to sacrifice?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Here's Granderson. He singled and scored his first time up. First pitch this time is inside. 1 ball, no strikes.
Lagares is very aggressive with that secondary lead out there. Freddie's trying to keep him as close as possible, but he's getting out there.
And no strikes to Granderson. David Wright is on deck. Buchanan faced none of these issues in spring training. He was right around the strike zone all the time. But there obviously is a difference between spring training and the regular season.
That's why that first outing was such a surprise, because he was lights out down in Clearwater.
3-1 pitch will have to wait as Buchanan turns back towards second. Little dribbler in front of the plate. Ruiz has got it and drops it, and the bases are loaded. I would think that's going to go down as a base hit. It'll load up the bases for David Wright.
It still would have been a close play. Now watching this replay here, it's definitely the right move to let Chooch take this ball. He has his momentum going towards first. Just can't get a handle on it.
They have scored a hit. He just didn't get the grip on it, obviously.
He knew he had to rush as well.
David Wright singled his last time up. Bases loaded here in the bottom of the second. 1-1 game. That's with 5 hits so far against Buchanan. Delivers high, and it's 1 ball, no strikes. Breaking ball low, 2-0.
It's okay to throw your breaking pitches behind in counts if you can throw them for strikes and command them. He is throwing them behind the count. He's just not commanding that off-speed pitch.
Yeah, 11 pitches, 11 first pitches so far. Just 4 first pitch strikes for Buchanan. Two balls, 1 strike. Came back with a 2-1 changeup that was high, and now it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Lagares over at third, Flores at second, and Granderson around at first. The base is loaded, 3 balls, 1 strike to David Wright. That'll be out of play, and it's 3-2.
It's amazing you and I were up here watching the Mets take BP today. He really makes a concerted effort to go to right field. And we talked yesterday how much he does stay inside the baseball, and you know, it's hard to pitch him in unless you can get him up at the belt.
Watching his BP, his last session was when he pulled everything.
Yes, he did.
.92 on that fastball, and he was late, and it remains 3-2. Phillies set up to try to turn 2 with the bases loaded and 1 out here in the bottom of the second. And the pitch. Out of play again. All these fastballs he's fouling off. Do you keep pumping them in just different locations?
Yeah, I mean, he's making good pitches. David Wright's just spoiling them right now. I mean, their pitches are down and away. Strikes. I would say, yeah, you could try something different, but his command hasn't been all that good. So stick with what you know you can throw for a strike.
Did come with something different. He came with a changeup that time, and he just got a piece of it. Bob McClure was talking to Murph about the number of pitches for David Buchanan, how he wanted to keep that down. Well, obviously, that has not been the case for the first 2 innings. 40 pitches for young David. Off the hands, a little pop-up out towards second base. Chase Utley's there, 2 outs. Well, you want to talk about winning a big battle right there. David Buchanan just won a huge battle.
Outstanding pitch right there to get in on right. That is a huge out, but it's not over. See this pitch right up and in, probably ball 4, but he's an aggressive hitter. You can't fault him for that. But it's a big out for David Buchanan right now, but still some business to do out there on the mound.
9 pitch at bat. Here's Lucas Duda. He got him on strikes his first time. Curveball pulled down the right field line. It's a fair ball. Going to the corner. 1 run is in. Here comes Flores. He'll score. Granderson around third. Sizemore bobbled it. Granderson will score. It's a 3-run double. And the Mets lead it 4-1.
I'm not going to say he was up there looking for a first pitch breaking ball, but if he was, that's the one he was looking for. One that's elevated, does a good job of staying inside and keeping it fair. Did he get him on his last at bat on that breaking ball? Maybe that was in the back of Duda's mind.
And that breaking ball, he got him on in his last at bat. That was a real good pitch. It started under the letters and went down toward his ankles. That one hung up there a little bit too much. So Duda picks up 3 RBIs. It's his second double of the year. Bob McClure out to talk to David Buchanan. And Michael Kadire will be the batter for the Mets. So Matt Harvey has a 4-1 lead to work with. And another batter hit by a pitch. Kadire hit on the hand, and he'll go to first. Flores was hit earlier. Now Kadire is hit. David Buchanan is not trying to do this, obviously. He just doesn't have the same command that we saw in spring training.
That's smarts. You know, as a hitter, you know, you make a living with your hands. You're not able to grip the bat. You don't feel comfortable with that bat in your hand. It's going to be tough.
Well, how about this? Kadire's going off, whereas Flores stayed in it. It was a different spot where Kadire was hit in the hands. It looked like he was hit toward just below the pinky. So Kadire is going off, and they'll put a pinch runner in. Kirk Neuenhuis is going to come on to play. You wonder what kind of retaliation there will be on the part of the Mets when the Phillies come to bat. So Neuenhuis will come on to pinch run at first, and now Daniel Murphy will be the batter. Murphy popped out to foul territory his first time up, so he's 0 for 1. Slaps it the other way. It's a foul ball, and it's 0-1.
I don't think it would be immediate, but I would expect something to come back maybe later in the ball game. Now, you don't want to see David Buchanan using this many pitches, but one of the positives you can take away from yesterday's ball game, they only had to use one bullpen piece, and Gianmar Gomez, you know, so bullpen should be rested if they do have to go into it, but hopefully he can get out of it here.
1-1 pitch to Murphy on the outside corner, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Play. Pitch inning so far for David Buchanan. 47 overall. 2 outs here in the second. Change up hit down the left field line. Slicing Revere toward foul territory makes the catch. And the inning finally comes to an end. 8 men come to the plate in the inning for the Mets. They score 3 runs. We'll go to the third. New York's on top of the Phils 4-1. go to the fan section for all the information. And Ben, please submit your answer on the subject line. The question is, who is the only Mets pitcher with a hit in each of his first 3 games? Boy, we're really challenging you, aren't we?
I'm a rookie. Remember that.
John DeSangro does not hold back on anybody.
No, Sang, I'll get you later.
I'll give you a hint. He is part of the roster right now for the New York Mets. Matt Harvey will go to work with a 3-run lead of 4-1. He has 5 strikeouts. He's allowed just the home run to Chase Utley. That was in the first. And here's Ben Revere batting 8th tonight. Revere hitting just 143. Now his Aprils are traditionally his least strongest month. For his career, he's hitting 233 in the month of April. This is even light for him. But after the month of April, he's a 295 hitter. Some guys just start slow. And Ryan Sandberg said something really interesting today. You know, Revere obviously is the leadoff hitter. You kind of think of leadoff hitters as being patient hitters. And we've noticed that Revere's been more patient this year. Well, Ryan Sandberg said, we don't want him to be more patient. He's not that kind of a hitter.
Exactly. You want him to be patient if he's a guy that walks. Ben Revere does not walk. Ricky Henderson, yeah, he would wait a pitcher out because he walked.
That one's pulled to right field. That'll drop in for a base hit. Well, there you go. He was aggressive, and he lined that one into right.
Great swing right there. Strong, quick. It's a great swing, and he smoked that ball to right field. See Ben Revere staying behind that. You know, he's got a lot of movement, but he gets pretty much settled when that pitch is on its way.
David Buchanan greeted with boos as he comes to the plate because he hit 2 Mets players. He squares, Harvey delivers, and he bunts it foul, and it's 0-1. Trying to get Revere into scoring position, get a run back here.
If you're Harvey, you can't change your attack. You still have to attack the hitters the way you would if it was 0-0.
Fastball in there, 0-2. David was jokingly talking to Larry Boa about hitting against Matt Harvey, and he said, what if I get a hit against him? And Boa said, I'll buy you a steak. Well, here he's up there to try to move the runner up. Now he may swing away. Although, what would you do here, Ben? Would you have him bunt one more, square one more time?
I would try, yes. The odds of him getting one down are better than him getting a knock.
And he bunts it. It's a good bunt.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Nice job, David.
Yep. Gets the runner in scoring position. Sacrifice goes 3-4. And now the long trot back to the dugout with the boos coming out. Well, an excellent job by David Buchanan to get that bunt down. And now with the runner in scoring position, Odubel Herrera will be the batter. The Phillies this year 170 with runners in scoring position. They were 0 for 5 in yesterday's ball game. Herrera struck out his first time up. Breaking ball. He just asked if that pitch was down.
Great spot to trade places with Ben Revere. You know, just keep that merry-go-round going.
Opposite way. On the run is Neuenhuis out toward the corner, and he makes the sliding grab. Revere goes back to second.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, you were awfully close to getting what you had just said, but Neuenhuis did an unbelievable job of getting to that baseball. Ball was hit a long ways.
I honestly thought there's no way he gets to this ball because it was slicing and it was going deeper towards left field.
Well, a bad break for the Phils and an excellent play by Kirk Neuenhuis, and there are 2 outs. And now Freddie Galvis, he struck out his first time. Galvis fouls it off.
I'm going to blame that one on Citi Field and the dimensions.
It's too big, Ben.
It's too big. I was talking with Buddy Carlisle today, pitching with the Mets, my former roommate. And he said, well, it's fair now. I said, yeah, fair for you.
That ball got a piece of Freddie Galvis, so he'll go to first. He'll try to get out of the way of it, and it just nipped him. You can hear it. And that'll bring Chase Utley up. Just clip the shirt.
I'll have to get some ice for that shirt. This shirt is writhing in pain right now.
Very protective shirt. All right, Utley homered his last time up. Chase now 3 for 23, 5 for 14.
No idea what this meeting could be about.
Well, here comes Terry Collins. He wants them to maybe look at this. They can review a hit by pitch. So they are going to take a look at it. Tom Hallion, the crew chief, and Alfonso Marquez will go get the headphones on.
We heard it though, did we not?
It did. I thought I heard it too.
We heard the sound of it hitting the shirt.
And then looking at the replay, watch it here. Honestly, it's too tough to tell. I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to overturn that or not.
But we heard it.
But you can hear it, right? Listen, take a listen. It was subtle. It was right there, though.
It's definitely a click, click.
Well, the umpires have not put the headphones on. They're going to confer. And now the rest of the umpires are going to come over as well. This is what we're assuming they're reviewing. This is the only thing they could review.
There were 2 distinct noises.
There were 2 distinct noises. Tom Hallion's doing the talking right now. Now Bruce Dreckman is chiming in. Or it should say Dan Bellino is chiming in. All right, so they're going to talk to Ryan Sandberg. Uh-oh, something's going on. We do not see arguments in baseball anymore. There is a discussion going on that is probably the most heated we've seen an manager this year. So they're going to review.
Frank Core's eyes lit up like, you know, whatever they said down there.
Right, he's the one that jumped. Yeah, he's the one that jumped onto the railing. All right, so there is a manager's challenge. We're only assuming that they're challenging that he was hit by the pitch. It's the only thing we can think of.
I don't know what else it could be.
Pete Buchanan is chatting with the other 2 umpires right now.
Now they do have sound on these headphones, correct?
They have everything that we have.
Okay.
Everything that we have in the Mets have. Take a look again. I mean, it is tough to tell whether the ball hit the shirt or not there, but we could hear it.
I think it hits the piping
right
on
there.
His shirt right there.
Now there is a space, but you don't know where
that
the
was
ball
after
is. Right,
it went by. Though.
That's a good point. Take a listen again. Yeah, there's something that the ball hit. And Alfonso Marquez was almost immediate with his call. Matt Harvey is allowed to throw some warm-up pitches here.
This isn't the worst thing for the Phillies offense, and he has to sit out there and wait.
Whatever Tom Hallion said, Ryan Sandberg was pretty mild-mannered. Ryan Sandberg was not pleased with whatever Tom Hallion said.
Neither was the bench.
And the bench kind of jumped up, as Ben talked about. All right, so here is the decision. Whatever the decision is. They said they're not reviewing it. That they are not reviewing it is basically what they're saying. They're saying that Galvis is at first. I don't get that, but we'll try to get an explanation.
Well, what were they doing over there if they weren't reviewing it?
Not
having
sure.
tea? I mean,
they were phoning home. They had to make an important phone call. And now Terry Collins will chat with Tom Hallion about it. Murph, get down on the field with those guys. Go out to the opening day logo and see if you can figure out what's going on.
I am on my way out there right now.
All right, we'll see you back at the hotel, because it's the last thing you'll do tonight.
The first conversation that was had between Ryan Sandberg and the umpires was, I only heard the second part of it, but he was saying that if I see that, then it will not be reviewed. So apparently whatever he was talking about, he saw, and it was a non-reviewed play.
That I don't get. I don't understand.
Well, I think what
that.
they're saying is that Terry Collins isn't going to be charged a review here.
All right, so because they're saying that the umpires wanted to review it for their own edification.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I think he was trying to see if they could hear it again.
Right.
And if that was the case, then they were going to say hit by pitch, and that's what they heard.
Yeah, because the umpires can use the replay themselves if they want to, but it was after Collins initiated it that they did it.
Well, and that's what he said to Ryan Sandberg.
Right.
I think he was saying that, look, I'm going to go over and look at it on my own. And if we see what we think,
that's probably what they were
Yeah.
angry about, because it should count. They should not be able to review anything after this. All right, but the Phillies have first and second with 2 outs. Chase Utley is the batter. And Utley slaps one the other way. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Rounding third, heading for home is Revere. The throw to the plate is offline. It's a 4-2 ball game. Boy, how big is that play out left field now?
Huge. The first thing I thought of.
Second RBI of the night for Chase, and here's Ryan Howard.
You know, I love that Chase Utley just swung at that first pitch. In my opinion, he's been a little too passive. And he goes up and attacks his pitch. Nice line drive to left field. But it seems like the pitchers know that he's going to take that first pitch, and they're laying pitches in there. That was great by Chase.
Well, now Ryan Howard. And man, is he overdue. Runners on first and second. And Howard slaps the first pitch foul. It's 0-1. That was as good a swing as we've seen from Howard the last few days.
Yes, it was. Great swing there by Rhino.
Struck out his first time up. The 0-2 pitch. Fastball overpowered in 98. Second time Howard has been struck out. The Phils are retired here in the third, but Chase Utley gets one back, an opposite field single. It's the Mets 4 and the Phillies 2. McDonald's, loving it. And buy the Quality Plus Sports stores. Go further. Well, Ben Davis and Greg Murphy, I'm Tom McCarthy. We go to the bottom of the third inning here at Citi Field. Terry Collins went out, talked to the umpires again, and now is back into his dugout. Tom Hallion is the crew chief. And it's the crew chief's discretion that they use replay to aid all of the umpires in specific calls, which is what we just saw.
It was one long half inning for one run.
Well, the replay was 3 minutes and 33 seconds, so that took some time. Boy, did he climb the ladder against Howard on that fastball. Here's Travis d'Arnaud to lead it off. All right, so it's a 2-run game, and now David Buchanan needs to get back in the strike zone and not allow any more damage.
Yeah, 49 pitches. Does have the bottom of the lineup coming up.
Toyota Major League Scoreboard. Marlins and the Braves are in Atlanta, and the Marlins leading 4-0. Michael Morse, a double and an RBI. That game's in the top of the fourth. Four of the previous 7 starts for the Phillies pitchers, they've allowed 1 earned run or less, 1 or none in 4 of those 7. Ashe cuts off Galvis and throws out d'Arnaud. Pitchers have done a nice job so far, aside from maybe Buchanan's last start, Hamilton's opening day start. They've allowed 2 earned runs or less in 5 of the 7 games.
All you can ask.
All you can ask.
I'm having a tough time with his mechanics. I'm looking at it. The pitch before that ground ball was supposed to be a changeup away. It just seems like as soon as he lifts his leg, he's really flying at the catcher. Like he's rushing out there. Like his body's going, but his arm's not catching up.
And we saw none of that in spring training.
No.
1-0 to Lagares. He singled his last time up. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, once we gathered that front leg, he did a good job of staying back on that one. But some pitches just seem like he's flying.
Chase Utley.
That's what you'd like to see. 2 quick outs.
Yeah, and he needs it. Reminder that the Philly Fanatic will be celebrating its next birthday on Sunday, April 26th, and all fans 14 and under will receive the Fanatic socks. Great giveaway. Brand new giveaway at Citizens Bank Park. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. On the hands, well, this is
useful.
This is a great inning for David Buchanan. And the side is retired in order. Quick and painless. We'll go to the 4th. Phillies trail the Mets 4-2. HP OfficeJet Pro X clocks in at 70 pages per minute. Get yours today for up to 50% off from who? But WB Mason. Well, Murph has gotten an explanation as to why the Phillies were so upset about the review of Freddie Galvis's apparent hit by pitch. Tom Hallion went to the phone to call up to the press box to let them know as well. Murph, give us a little explanation on what you've heard.
Yes, so what happened was, the reason why Ryan Sandberg was so upset that they were going to review that was because Matt Harvey had gotten onto the pitching rubber after Freddie Galvis got down to first base, and the next batter had gotten into the box. At that point, you're not allowed to review it anymore. And that is why Ryan Sandberg was so upset that they were going to look at it. They eventually waved it off. It was no review. It was called hit by pitch. That's the way it stood. So no review ever technically happened at that point, but that's the reason why.
Well, there he is. He's on the rubber. Utley's in the batter's box. Pitch is taken outside 2-0. Boy, that's a great pickup. We were looking at a million different things, and that's the first time we've had that as a quote-unquote explanation. But that's a great pickup. Thank you, Murph.
Well, kudos to Juan Samuel for passing that info along to me.
Well, thank Juan for us.
I will be sure to.
Ben, make sure you thank Juan later on tonight.
Absolutely.
2-1 pitch to Ruiz at the knees, 2-2. But it is true. I mean, in the year plus that we've had replay and the issues with replay, that's the first time that we've had that issue. Chopper back towards shortstop. Flores backs up on it. And 1 out. I don't even know if we look at that anymore because we haven't had it where the pitcher's been on the rubber and the batter's been in the box, because that is the rule. You cannot ask for a review. Actually takes low and in. 1 ball, no strikes. Mets have just announced that Michael Kadyr's hand is not broken. It's a contusion. The X-rays were negative.
That's good news.
2 balls, no strikes to Ashe. And Ashe pulls one deep to right field. Granderson going back. That one is gone! Into the top porch here at Citi Field. It's a 1-run game.
Good night.
That was blasted.
Granderson's reaction was priceless. He gave it 2 quick steps and said,
4-3. The Phillies have cut this lead to 1.
It's a super far hit, Tom. Look at this swing. Short, crisp, and concise. He knew it right away.
That's a pretty good poke right there.
You look at that swing. It's the exact same swing that he had yesterday with the singles. It's the same swing.
Well, now Grady Sizemore, and Sizemore hits it the opposite way and out of play, and it's 0-1.
That gave me chill bumps.
Well, you go back to that play by Neuenhuis. This would be a tie ball game right now, or maybe even a Phillies lead, depending on how the inning would have unfolded after that play if he didn't get to it. The other thing is, I don't think Kadir would have gotten to it.
It's a great point, Tom. I don't think he does. You know, it's funny, the first 2 innings, saw, I wouldn't say a lot of breaking balls, but they were quite a few. The last 2 innings, he's thrown a lot of heaters.
In the dirt, and it's 2-2. That may be the first slider that he's thrown.
Still hard, though. 89 miles an hour on that slider. You could see the tilt it had.
Well, he's at 54 pitches right now, and we said that it's a soft pitch count. He's probably going to be, according to Terry Collins, between 90 and 100. 2-2 pitch to Sizemore. Up and in, 3-2. 98 miles an hour. to the right side. It's a foul ball. Boy, that was really close.
The first 3-ball count of the evening for Matt Harvey.
That looked like a fair ball.
Did that not go over the bag?
It looked like a fair ball. And our angle may be a little off to the left a little bit, but man. Foul tip, and Sizemore is struck out. 6 strikeouts for Harvey. Actually 7, I should say.
You know, it's a special feeling for a hitter. You know, who knows what Matt Harvey's future holds. It looks very, very promising. But Cody Ash can always say, yeah, got him.
To the second tank.
Did you see how fast that ball came back onto the field?
Yeah.
They didn't waste any time.
Well, Ben Revere singled and scored his first time up. Inside, 1-0. Opposite way. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Love for Ben to get another hit, clear that pitcher spot so Dave doesn't have to lead off next inning.
Breaking ball, and that's a bit high. So 3-1, second 3-ball count of this inning. Chopper back toward the middle, and Murphy, the second baseman, to his right. Revere is retired. Phillies do get a run back, and a long home run by Cody Ashe, his first of the year. Into the second deck. He knew it once it left the bat. It was gone. Second home run of the night for the Phils against Matt Harvey. It's a 4-3 ball game. To you by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Buy the Pennsylvania Lottery. Benefits older Pennsylvanians. And buy Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. We've got a game. It's a 4-3 lead for the Mets. Matt Harvey leads it off and takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Pretty easy third for David Buchanan. He's looking to duplicate that here. 0-2.
And you talk about certain players coming up to the system. They provide a spark not only for the city, for the ball club. People want to come out and see that one player. Kind of like a Mike Trout, Andrew McCutchen. Yasiel Puig. I mean, look what he provided for the Dodgers. And that's exactly what Harvey's doing here at Citi Field.
Well, he certainly has a following. You could sense that at the start of the game, particularly with the chanting that's going on. But now things have kind of calmed down a little bit. Everybody was riding high for an inning from a Mets standpoint. Utley's home run knocked him back a little bit. But now the Phillies have 2 home runs. Here's Granderson. Granderson out front. Long run for Freddie Galvis. Into foul territory. Sliding, and he can't get there. Or he can't hang on, I should say. And it's 0-2.
He just ran a quarter mile.
That was a long way.
See Cody coming in here. Hey, give your boy a breather, would you? May have gone into that slide a little too soon, but that's a great effort. Look how far he had to run.
Went a long way. It's as far as you used to walk back from home plate. 0-2 to Granderson, who has scored 2 runs tonight. Pulls that one to the right. Chase Utley is set up perfectly. So 2 outs. Well, don't miss the Philadelphia Union and Union Talk tonight at 11 p.m. on Comcast Sportsnet. Get caught up in all the things that are going on with Philadelphia's soccer team. State of the Union coming up at 11 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Here's David Wright. He's 1 for 2. Swings at the first pitch. A fly ball to right center. Playable for Sizemore. Man, have these last 2 innings been fast for David Buchanan. Much needed. 1, 2, 3 go the Mets. 7 in a row retired by Buchanan. We head to the 5th in a 1-run game. For tonight, definitely be a little more fine for me. 90 pitches through 6 innings is not good enough. If I'm throwing 90 pitches, I'd like to get at least into the 7th. I think Tuesday, which was his first outing, early attacking and trying to get us later into the game, into the ball game, I should say. He was talking the top part about his first outing. And trying to be more aggressive here. Now he's thrown a few more pitches these last 2 innings. Here's David Buchanan to lead things off. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
If you're a strikeout pitcher, you're going to throw a lot of pitches. That's the bottom line.
Breaking ball. Well, he has struck out 8 tonight. The Phillies have scored 3 runs. They haven't had a lot of success against him in his previous outings against the Phils. Breaking ball inside, and it's 2-2. David Buchanan buckled so much his back knee almost hit that ball. And he lines one into right field. That's going to be a stake from Larry Bowa down the right field line. Buchanan on his way to second. He'll get there with a stand-up double.
I love this game, Tom. Ball was smoked. Good for you, David.
Kind of just chopped down at that ball.
I'm not critiquing that swing.
You got to break it down, Ben. Break it down. Well, now Odubel Herrera with the corners playing in. That is already the 5th hit for the Phils against Matt Harvey. And Odubel Herrera has been hit by. Nope, they're going to say that ball hit the bat. They're going to say a foul ball. Ryan Sandberg's asking Odubel if it hit him in the hand or not. He's trying to signal that from the dugout.
Foul ball, foul ball.
And you hear Larry Bowa in the background saying foul ball. Yeah, that looked like it did hit the bat. Yep.
I always enjoyed working with Alfonso Marquez. He is very good umpire. He's fair. You can talk to him.
On the 2 calls tonight, the hit by pitch to Galvis, he was right on it.
Yep.
And that one right there, he called it immediately.
Doesn't have an ego. Some umpires, they do. They think the fans are there to watch them.
No balls, 1 strike. Fouls it back. It's 0-2.
Watching Darno give these signals, I've never seen a catcher. He must have trouble seeing the signs because these signals are way up high. Usually you get the catcher to stick your hand farther down in your groin area to give the signs. He's holding them way up high.
And you never want to put them too low because the bench can see them or somebody can see them. You never want to put them too high because they're the same thing, I would think.
Yeah. But he has them up at the bottom of his chest protector.
Yeah. Now time is called. I like this by Herrera. Fouls it back, and it remains 0-2. By the way, from a review standpoint, we talk so much about what's reviewable, what's not reviewable. That ball, the last inning that we thought went over the bag, that is not a reviewable play. So that's why Ryan Sandberg did not come out and question it. The ball has to be in the air to the outfield grass. That's the only thing that's reviewable. Fair or foul into the outfield grass. No balls, 2 strikes to Herrera. And he lifts that one out toward right center field. Buchanan tagging from second. Lagares on the run, makes the catch over the shoulder. Boy, Herrera hit that a long way, and it's going to get the runner over to third with less than 2 outs. Well, we've talked about before about how the Phillies have probably gotten to Matt Harvey more than usual. Here are his starts against the Phillies in his career. 1 earned run and 1 earned run, 2 earned runs that first time in 2012. Not much though. why he came in with an earned run average of 1.08. Tonight, though, a little different story. And now the infield is in for Galvis with a runner at third. Inside, 1-0.
I don't know if David thought of that on his own or Pete McCann was screaming at him, but as soon as that ball goes up, you just got to think you're not going to score because he's going to catch it. But is the ball deep enough where I can advance?
Well, it's excellent base running to get a runner over at third with less than 2 outs. 1 ball, 1 strike to Galvis. He bunts in the air. Darnell off with the mask. Two outs. I don't think that was a safety squeeze. I think he was bunting on his own. What do you think, Ben?
I'm baffled by that because he comes in the game tonight hitting .400, seeing the ball well, swinging the bat well. If I'm not mistaken, he had 3 hits yesterday, right, Tom?
3 for 3.
I don't understand that. Especially you have a drawn-in infield. You have the advantage. Yeah, the pitcher's good, but so what? Let me go get myself one right now.
Ryan Sandberg talked at length today about his baseball instincts. He doesn't make many mistakes baseball instincts-wise. That was a mistake there by Freddie Galvis. Well, Chase Utley has a couple RBIs tonight, including the home run in the first. So we've updated our graphic. We're just going to keep adding red arrows into that corner. 10 home runs, nearly the same spot. If he hits one the opposite way, it's going to mark up that graphic.
It sure will.
We'll put a different color in there. And he hits it. And now both benches will probably be warned. Utley not all pleased, but he'll take his spot over at first. The warnings have just been issued. Not a shock. Harvey looking over at Utley. Utley looking back with a smirk.
We knew it was coming. That's, you know what? It's the right way to do it. Hit him in the tail. I'll go ahead, honey. If you think that's the right move, just make sure it's down. That got my Irish up there, I'll tell you, Tom.
When you got hit like that?
No, right now.
Right now. No balls, 1 strike to Howard. He has struck out twice. He's overthrowing there. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. It off foul down the left field line. Utley goes, pitches up and in, and Utley will get to second base.
No secret what he's trying to do to Ryan here. Did his first 2 at-bats. He's gotten ahead. He's tried to climb the ladder with that fastball.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Howard. And the pitch. Got a piece of it to stay alive. Catcher's interference, and Howard is safe at first. Bases are now loaded. Well, we've had some interesting stuff happen here. It's going to be an E2. And Ruiz will bat.
He must have a valid case because as a catcher, you know.
You can feel it.
You know.
All right, take a look. See if you can see it. That did not come anywhere near the glove.
No, it did not. And that's what I'm saying. You know, as a catcher, you know right away when you've done it. It doesn't happen all that often.
Now, according to our list of instant replay procedures, that is not a reviewable event. And Terry Collins is heated right now, of course, and he's been thrown out of the ball game. Ben, we just don't see guys get thrown out anymore.
No, we don't. Getting his money's worth.
Yes, he is. There are certain things that, I mean, from a technology standpoint, should be on the list to be reviewed. That, if they had reviewed it, they could see it. The ball that we saw down the first base line, I think technology is getting closer when we can review that, too.
Yeah.
But it is not a reviewable occurrence. So now Bob Guerin will take the lineup card. And let's see if the Phillies can capitalize with the bases loaded. Watch it again. Oh, didn't hit the glove. Buchanan's at third, Utley's at second, Howard at first, Ruiz at the plate here in the top of the fifth. Here's Bob Guerin, that's bench coach. And the 0-1 to Ruiz. Fastball on the outside corner, it's 0-2. Breaking ball popped up left side of the infield. David Wright calls for it, makes the catch. The Phillies get a leadoff double by David Buchanan, but cannot score. They leave him loaded. We played 4.5 out to the bottom of the fifth. It's still a 1-run Mets lead. PHI League has been teaching kids how to play the game since 1989. This year, they'll reach more than 6,000 kids, providing uniforms and donations of gloves and other equipment. To learn more, get involved, visit citizensbankpark.com/community. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank. Well, Matt Harvey has not been unhittable. Let's just say that tonight. The Phillies just left the bases loaded. His night is probably almost done. We mentioned that it's a soft pitch count. Utley's been on base 3 times against Harvey, between 90 and 100 pitches. He'll probably go out there for the top of the 6th inning. Lucas Duda will lead it off. And Duda takes low, 1 ball and no strikes. One for 3. Two balls and no strikes. Pretty close pitch. David Buchanan, 48 pitches, Ben, the first 2 innings. Last 2 innings, 17 pitches. So he's figured something out. That one's pulled into right, a base hit. It'll go to the corner. Sizemore will dig it out. Second double of the night for Duda.
In almost the exact same spot.
McClure and Ryan Sandberg discussing. I mean, I would think that if there's, well, I would think they're going to have to get somebody up pretty soon. 69 pitches is not a whole lot, but they've got to stay in this game down by just 1. Here's Neuenhuis way out front. It's 0-1. Neuenhuis came on for Michael Kadire. After Kadire was hit by a pitch, his x-rays were negative. He's got a bruised hand. So this is his first AB. Up high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Popped him up. Freddie Galvis, shortstop, is there. And one away. Well, it's time now for our Chief Stump the Fans trivia quiz answer. I chuckle because it's a tough one for Ben Davis.
Okay.
Who was the only Mets pitcher with a hit in each of his first 3 professional games, or major league games, I should say?
Well, I saw the pitchers hitting today. I'm going to say Jonathan Neese.
Oh, that's a good guess. Incorrect, though. You want one more guess, or never mind? Jacob deGrom.
Jacob deGrom.
Mets had gone 0 for a lot. Their pitchers 0 for a lot before he had a base hit last year to end that stretch. Daniel Murphy takes high. It's 1 ball, no strikes. He's 0 for 2.
I just assumed with him going tomorrow, maybe.
Excellent guess.
Kind of like a precursor going into tomorrow's contest.
Now you're getting it. Try to tie it in. So in the Major League scoreboard, the Nationals have wiped away that deficit and now lead the Red Sox 7-5, bottom of the 7th. Michael Taylor, 3 RBIs, the rookie outfielder. Ball 4, and Murphy walks on 4 pitches. The Phillies are walking, and Independence Blue Cross wants to remind you to get active and get walking too. Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. You can check out Phillies.com for more ways to get active with a Phillies 5K, the bike race coming up, and all the other events that take place at the ballpark. Here's Travis d'Arnaud. Well, he's up a little bit. I mean, I guess that's obvious in this inning. That fastball came in at 89 miles an hour to d'Arnaud. He's grounded out twice, so you'd like to get another ground ball here to turn a double play.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that walk to Murphy wasn't the unintentional intentional walk.
Hit toward the hole, into left field, a base hit. Duda's being way toned. Revere is up with it. Here's the throw to the plate. On one hop, he is! He missed the plate. Safe at the plate. Duda got back. Oh, man, did this game have anything else go on?
No.
It's a 5-3 ball game.
How about Ben Revere?
He had him dead to rights for the second time in the last few games.
I thought he initially beat it on the first slide.
All right, David Buchanan's pretty sure that Ruiz got him. So they may ask for this to be reviewed. Carlos seemed to be pretty sure that he got him because he looked at him. Watch it here. Did he get him? Didn't look like he got him right there. No signal there. Marquez not signaling anything. And then Ruiz got him. I think he got him, Ben.
He did get him.
I don't think he ever got back to the plate.
I thought he beat it right here. He's safe right there, is he not?
Duda's foot is on the plate. Did it go over the plate, though? It looks like it's on the plate right there. Now, if they review this and see that.
Well, that wasn't the initial call, though, Tom. The initial call was he never hit the plate.
They can go back and look at the whole play. Right there, his hand didn't hit the plate, so he should be out. But they can go back and see what we saw and see that foot hit the plate and call him safe. They don't have to just look at the tag by Ruiz, the second tag. They can look at the whole play, which is what I'm sure they're going to do.
We had a great view from up here. I thought he beat the throw. Didn't beat the throw, but he eluded the tag.
I agree with that. But I thought that Ruiz got him the second time, and it did look that way.
He did get him the second time.
Bob McClure on the phone. I think he's getting somebody up and loosening in the bullpen. DeFreitas is now starting to throw. So this play under review. Man, oh man. Watch it again. Now right there, it looks like the back foot is on the plate. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And they just called him safe. So we'll try to get an explanation if they looked at what we saw, the whole thing, and saw that his foot hit the plate. So the call is confirmed, so they saw evidence that his foot did hit the plate at some point.
Yes.
So an RBI single. And Ben Revere continues to show that left field may be his position. That was a heck of a throw by Ben Revere.
He's just seems to be getting more carry on the ball.
Yep. And even the catch he made yesterday.
The catch was great, but he's getting more carry, but he's very accurate as well.
So 5-3, Mets on top. Here's Lagares, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1.
You know, it's a shame because you're a foot or two away from Cody catching that ball, making a double play, and then you're so close to having Ben Revere throw Neuenhuis out or Duda out at home.
0-2 to Lagares. Curveball whacked the other way, out of play. But it's deep, and it remains 0-2. In all seriousness about Revere, he joked the other day about them changing the scouting report on him. They are going to have to change the scouting report on him.
Absolutely.
Because even the throw yesterday on his heels, where he didn't get the runner on the sacrifice fly, still had a lot on it. I mean, this is perfect technique.
Yeah, but he's attacking the baseball, getting that momentum going home. I mean, it's a great throw, but again, it's so accurate.
No balls, 2 strikes to Lagares. Puts that one to shortstop. That should be 2. There's 1 and 2. Inning is over. The Mets do tack on an insurance run here in the 5th inning. 6-4-3 on the double play. We'll head to the top of the 6th inning. Work to do for the offense. Down by 2. Firing on all cylinders to start the 2015 season. Out of the bullpen and into the crucial late innings, the relief corps has stepped in and stepped up in consistent fashion. A strong point last season has once again become a controlling factor on a nightly basis. With a few new faces and Papelbon ready to close the door, the back end of each game has belonged to the Phillies. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, Matt Harvey has allowed 3 runs on 5 hits so far. His team just got him an extra run in the bottom of the 5th inning. Murph, what do you got going on, buddy?
Well, Tom, I had a chance to talk to Cody Ashley before this game. Obviously he is off to a very hot start. He's improved his batting average to .450 early in this season. And I said, what is different right now for you? What is going right for you? He said, honestly, he's just really trying to simplify everything, trying to slow everything down, and just take it easy. He said when he went back and looked at some of his bad at-bats in the past, it was the at-bats where he was trying to do too much, where he was trying to lift the pitch out of the ballpark or maybe pull a pitch that was on the outer half of the plate. And now he's just trying to keep it simple. And getting off to a hot start, well, that's not something that he has done often. It hasn't done in the big leagues so far. You look at his numbers from 2013 and 2014. But this year, just keeping it simple and keep staying within himself, and it certainly has paid off for Cody Ashley.
Well, it's a sweet swing, that upper deck home run. He was right on the pitch from Harvey, and now it's even 1 ball, 1 strike. That's why we thought it was so odd the other day when he wasn't in the lineup when Hamels was pitching, because we thought, I think as a group, right, Murph, Ben, we thought he was swinging the bat better than anybody in the lineup, at least at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to argue with the success he's had. They've been mostly singles so far this season, but like you said, he's just trying to hit the ball where it's pitched, just trying to get the ball into play and put the bat on the ball, and he's been able to do that so far. I asked him if, how you talk about hitting is contagious amongst your teammates. When guys start to hit, it seems like everybody starts to hit. I said, is it the same, for yourself? As soon as you start to put some hits together, you just feel like you're seeing the ball even better. He said, absolutely. That's the way he feels right now at the plate.
3 balls and 2 strikes to Ashe. Struck out his first time, homered his last time. 89 pitches now for Harvey. And the bullpen's starting to move around for the New York Mets. Swing and a miss. Threw an off-speed pitch. Got him for the second time. That's 9 strikeouts for Harvey.
2 really good change-ups that at bat that he saw. One was at 84 miles an hour. He swung through. One was at 85. This one was at 85. 3-2 count. Guy throws mid to upper 90s. That'll be looking heater. Tip your cap to him.
Your old roommate Buddy Carlisle warming up in the bullpen. It'd be good if he comes in. You can tell us everything we want to know about Buddy Carlisle. Good, bad, and different. Brady Sizemore, shallow left field. Flores, the shortstop, is out there. Neuenhuis comes in, and they collide, but Neuenhuis was able to make the catch before the bodies met. 2 outs. Follow the Phillies all season in 2015 with MLB.com at bat. The #1 app for live baseball. At bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. By the way, Ben, it has been confirmed that when the umpires did review the ball that Revere threw to the plate, that they did see that Duda's back leg did hit the plate. So what happened afterward with the dive toward the plate, Ruiz going after him, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
0-1 to Revere. 1 hopper, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good reaction by Harvey on that one. He's like, did I just do that?
Red Sox now lead the Nationals 8-7. 3 runs on 3 errors by the Nats. Two balls, 2 strikes to Revere. And he pulls that one out toward right field. Granderson got a late start, but it gets back to the major count. Side is retired. Phillies go down in order. Harvey's night is most likely done. Mets on top 5-3 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. When you buy right. Buy Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by Toyota, where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Bottom of the 6th inning. Mets lead the Phillies 5-3. Wilmer Flores will lead it off. Then in the pitcher spot is up next. John Mayberry Jr. has a helmet and a bat in the dugout.
But it's not on deck. I think if Flores gets on, you'll see Harvey come up and run him over.
First pitch is over for Buchanan. It's 0-1.
But no one's out there yet, so we'll see.
They had Carlisle loosening up, but he has sat down. There's a lot of guys walking around. Looks like Gil Martin is going to grab a baseball. The on-deck circle is vacant. And a strikeout for Buchanan, his 3rd.
Good cutter there.
Every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition 1-2-3, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider for the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, here's Ruben Tejada, who was the everyday shortstop a couple of years ago, and now is the backup to Wilmer Flores, but may wind up working his way back into the starting lineup. Just 2 for 15 in his career as a pinch hitter. The righty Carlisle starts the throw again in the bullpen for the Mets. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Gil Martin's to the right. Ricky Bonas is the bullpen coach. He has the chart, clipboard. Cutter right there by David Buchanan. It's one of his better ones, 1-2.
Well, the 0-2 strikeout pitch to Flores was a late breaking cutter. Very sharp. There's another one there.
Just missed off the outer edge, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Tejada.
You know, if David is able to get out of this inning unscathed, wasn't his best outing, but it was a big improvement over last game, his first outing, so something you can build on.
A high fly ball out toward left field. Revere on the run. It's over his head, off the wall. Tejada's on his way to second, and the throw cut off by Freddie Galvis. And Tejada pulls into second base with a 1-out double.
Was loud off the bat there, wasn't it, Tom?
Sure was. Now, normally the last couple of days you've hated the ballpark because it's too big. That time it was good that it was a big ballpark.
Yes.
Here's Granderson. 2 for 3. Change up, and it's low. Jake Teichman talking to Rod Nichols in the bullpen. Phillies will have a salute to Jackie Robinson on Tuesday, April 21st, when they take on the Miami Marlins. It's the first of a 3-game series. You can get tickets by going to Phillies.com. All fans coming to the ballpark receive the Jackie Robinson commemorative pin, which we will show you tomorrow. The pin is just like that logo you see to the left. Inside, ball 4. First and second, and David Wright is coming up. Tom McClure heading out to chat with David Buchanan. Again, it's just Diekman that's loosening up in the bullpen. Freitas had been throwing earlier.
Yeah, you'd think they'd have a righty up in the pen at this point. Unless they think they can get David Wright and then have Diekman come in to face Duda. He's had a good night against David Buchanan.
If he is lucky enough to get Wright, well, even if he doesn't get Wright, it's going to be Diekman against Duda.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I kind of feel like he's teetering right now. It's just a 2-run game. You're going to get into the Mets bullpen, obviously. Well, let's see if David Buchanan is able to get a double play ball. He got one in the 5th inning. David Wright is 1 for 3. On the outside corner. Good pitch. It's 0-1. Out toward the alley in right center field. Herrera, boy, he got a good jump. Makes the basket catch. And going the third is Tejada.
Covered some ground, didn't he?
He sure did. 2 outs. He actually may have run past him, which is why he had to come back for that basket catch.
Yeah.
On the sinking line drive.
Ball was hit well.
So Ryan Sandberg's going to make a double switch here. Jeff Francoeur is going to come out and play right field, so Grady Sizemore's night is done. We've got a pitching change with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Phillies down by 2. Inning, and the Phillies go to their bullpen. Time to take a look at our T-Mobile game changer. All right, so the Phillies bullpen since August of 2014. You know, the first month of the season, Ben, the bullpen last year was a big question mark, even into May. But look what they've done since the 5th of August, the best in Major League Baseball as far as earned run average goes. And this guy's a big reason why.
Yeah, it was a big question mark for a couple years. Not just last year, the beginning of last season, but Jake Diekman's come in along with a few other guys. Kenny Giles, Papelbon's been solid. Mario Hollins. These guys have been very, very good for the Phillies.
So Diekman's going to try to get Lucas Duda here. Diekman 4 strikeouts and 3 1/3. Now he's allowed 5 runs so far. The grand slam. Those are 4 of the 5, of course. Duda has 2 doubles. He's 2 for 3. Fastball outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Well, it wasn't the prettiest of outings for David Buchanan, but he did battle tonight.
Hopefully his teammate can pick him up here.
Outside and low, 2-0. Plus he got a base hit, got a double. That was a big part of this ball game, and the Phillies couldn't get him home from third base with 1 man down.
Neuenhuis is on deck, so they do have a little bit of wiggle room. Another lefty. Surprised he wasn't swinging there. 3-0.
Well, that's a good point, because you figure he's going to get a fastball in that spot. Runner goes from first. It's ball 4 to load up the bases. So Neuenhuis will bat. Samuel directing some traffic, getting the outfielders set. They're going to move Revere over toward the line, just a few steps. Neuenhuis popped up his first time up, takes a fastball for a strike, and it's 0-1. 98 from Diekman. Looks like Sean Markham's going to start to warm up in the bullpen for the Phillies. He got up in yesterday's game. Well, that there is one wicked slider from Jake Diekman. It's 0-2. I should say Dustin McGowan. I don't know where I got shot. I just looked online and saw Sean Markham was released today. You know, former Blue Jay in a Phillies uniform.
Yeah.
No balls and 2 strikes to Neuenhuis. Fastball up and in, 1-2.
Pretty good pitch there, Tom. Alfonso thought it was high.
And now the 1-2 pitch coming from Diekman. Inside, 2-2.
This is where you want it to happen.
Got him. 98 with that fastball, little cheese, and Kirk Neuenhuis can't catch up. The Mets leave him loaded here in the 6th inning, so it's on to the 7th. It's the Mets 5 and the Phillies 3. Mets on top 5-3 as we go to the top of the 7th inning. And it's time now for your Delaware Valley Honda Dealers game summary. Well, this game has had a lot of things going on. A lot of replays, 4 batters hit. Chase Utley, Cody Ashe, each with solo home runs. David Buchanan went 5 2/3. He hit a couple batters, 5 earned runs. Matt Harvey went 6. He hit a couple batters. Lucas Duda has 3 RBIs. So now we go to the top of the 7th. Buddy Carlisle will take over for the Mets. Jeff Francoeur, his first at bat, takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Francoeur came on as part of a double switch. That one's hit out toward left field, down toward the hands. Neuenhuis is under it, and 1 away. And Odubel Herrera is coming up. We've also seen a manager thrown out. Terry Collins has been ejected from this game today. Numbers on Carlisle. This is his 3rd game. He picked up a save. This whole bullpen by committee, back end of the bullpen by committee for the Mets, with Henry Mejia being suspended for 80 games. Where'd you play with Buddy Carlisle?
He got traded to the Padres when I was in AA from Cincinnati. So we actually won the Southern League that year in '98. We were roommates the following year to start the year in Las Vegas. We were roommates in San Diego. Earl Carlisle. Let's see why they call him Buddy.
Herrera bunts up the third base line, foul.
One of my favorites. This is his 20th year of professional baseball.
It's remarkable that he's been able to stick around and get to the big leagues after all those years in the minor leagues.
He's been to Japan, Korea. He's been everywhere.
He's pitched for the Braves. You said the Padres.
Yeah.
Obviously here with the Mets now.
But he said his arm feels good.
Hey, why not?
Happy for him. He's a great guy.
You had no idea he was here. He had no idea you were here.
I know he was here last year, and he had a great year. And they signed him back, and
one ball, 1 strike to Herrera, and he fouls it away, and it's 1-2.
he and Cody Ashe have something in common.
What is that?
Love the Huskers.
Oh, okay. Do you want to watch a lot of Nebraska football games in September with him?
No. You remember we were out pheasant hunting in Nebraska together, and Saturday afternoon we're out casually walking along looking for some birds, and all of a sudden Buddy and the guys we were hunting with says, "There's time." I said, "For what?" I said, "The game's coming on." They shut everything down, and they had to watch the football game.
And what did you do?
I went to mass, I think. But I mean, it's like a religion out there.
Montero, the right-hander, warming up now. Gil Martin also was throwing a moment ago. Swing and a miss and a changeup, and 2 outs. Every day is fun when you spend it at a Phillies game with your group of 25 or more. Take advantage of special group opportunities, including discounts, theme nights, party areas, and much more. No matter what size group, there are always benefits and special options. For more information, check out Phillies.com/group tickets. So Freddie Galvis, who tried to bunt his last time up and was retired on a pop-up into foul territory.
I'm still perplexed by that move.
I don't think you're alone. The other part of it that was strange is that the infield was in, and he looked like he was bunting for a base hit.
Yeah.
Honestly, if he had laid it down, I don't think Buchanan would have come home.
No. He's not expecting that either. You know, he's not used to being out on the bases.
There's no way he missed a sign, did he?
No. I just don't think they would put a squeeze, whether that be a regular or safety squeeze, with a pitcher on third.
I would agree with you on that. One ball, 2 strikes to Galvis. And that one is out of play down the left field line. Phillies lost yesterday 2-0. They trail it here 5-3. They've had a much better offensive day today with runners in scoring position, but they still left them loaded in the 5th.
That's been an exciting game.
With everything going on.
There's a lot going on.
Back toward the middle, off the mound, backhanded by Murphy. And a 1-2-3 inning for Buddy Carlisle. Phillies go down in order. Time to stretch here at Citi Field. Well, the Mets leading it by 2. Inning. Clocking in at 70 pages per minute, the HP OfficeJet Pro X is the perfect addition to your starting lineup. And now 50% off. Get yours today from who but WB Mason. Dustin McGowan will check in for his 3rd ball game. 3 innings so far, 2 strikeouts. And McGowan will face Daniel Murphy. That one's hit well out toward the alley in right center field. Francoeur on the run. It is gone. May not have been a home run last year, but it's a home run this year for Daniel Murphy. His first of the year. It's now 6-3 Mets on top.
This ball is hammered. Daniel Murphy can do some things. He really can. And if this offense gets going, he's going to be a big part of that. He does have a very short swing.
Got a double in yesterday's game. And now Travis d'Arnaud, who is 1 for 3. Singled his last time up, drove in a run.
It's called ambushing the pitcher. Look for that first one. He comes in a ball game.
Way outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes to d'Arnaud. That one's out toward left field. Benavides going back on it, out toward the track. It's over his head, a short hop off the wall. His throw going towards second base, and Galvis will just hold on to it. So a home run and a double for the Mets here in the 7th inning against Sean Marco. What's it? Jeez, against Dustin McGowan. Now it's in my head. And here is Lagares to bat. By the way, they line on Diekman a third of an inning.
It's a 1-2 count here, and the ball just catches a little too much plate. Wasn't that bad a pitch, but d'Arnaud does a good job of keeping his hands inside there and driving it out to left.
Lagares is 1 for 3. He is singled, grounded out, once into a double play, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Yeah, Diekman coming in, that was a fantastic job that he did.
Phillies bullpen coming into tonight's ball game at an earned run average of 2.55. Diekman a third scoreless, and now McGowan has given up a home run and a double. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss. He got it.
Nice pitch.
95 right on the outside corner. And with one away, Wilmer Flores coming up. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thank you, Tom. It's time for your timeless moment, brought to you by Coors Banquet. And I think you guys will remember this. On this date in 2013, Roy Halladay earned win number 200 in his career. It was a 2-1 win over the Miami Marlins at the time. He, of course, finished his career with 203 wins. Roy Halladay.
Roy Halladay was as dominant a pitcher as we have seen. And it's a shame that it ended when it did. First pitch to Flores, waved at it. It's 0-1. Provided some very incredible, really incredible moments for all of us who have called his games. Outside, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
I remember sitting watching the no-hitter with my father-in-law. He and I kept looking over at each other like, what do you think? We didn't say anything. Boy, that was a great moment that I remember, just watching him go out there and dominate the Reds.
Some folks that feel like he had better stuff even at that no-hitter than he did at the perfect game against the Marlins, which was an incredible matchup against Josh Johnson of the Marlins. Two balls, 1 strike. Inside, 3-1. Swing and a miss, 3-2. Boy, everything moves with McGowan.
It's the truth.
Time is called. A ball was picked up by d'Arnaud, tossed out. Three balls, 2 strikes to Flores. And he fouls it back. John Mayberry Jr. is out of the on-deck circle. Down low, ball 4. So 2 on with 1 out. And Mayberry is coming up.
I think Chooch has a pretty good idea on how to pitch John.
Phillies traded John Mayberry to the Toronto Blue Jays last year and then picked up by the Mets. See his numbers as a pinch hitter. He had an excellent spring with New York, able to make the club. His numbers with the Phillies from 09 through the part of 2014 season. He's up now with runners on first and second. At the knees, and it's 0-1. 92. Mayberry's backswing on those practice swings just got a piece of Carlos Ruiz. Back toward the middle, flagged down by McGowan, throws to second for 1. They won't get Mayberry at first base. And that'll put runners on first and third. 1-4 on the put out at second.
You don't know how that would have played out if Dustin leaves that go through for either Freddie or Chase. Most likely chased it to get that ball. Maybe they could have completed that double play, but just didn't put enough on the initial throw to Chase to turn 2. I see him here kind of just lobbed it to second base. Chase does what he can. Actually made it a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Well, now it's Granderson who's up against McGowan. Granderson has been on base 3 times. He has singled in the first and the second, scored a couple runs. And he pulls that one to right field, right at Francoeur, who comes in to make the one-handed catch, and the inning is over. But the Mets tack on one more, a solo home run by Daniel Murphy. We'll go to the 8th inning. The Phils some work to do, down by 3. Honda dealer, or visit DelValHondaDealers.com today. And by Jefferson, where health is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. Top half of the 8th inning, the Phillies trail at 6-3. Time now for our Hyundai defensive play of the game. As it turns out, Ben, this is as big a play as we have seen in tonight's ball game.
You know, it really was, because Matt Harvey is Matt Harvey, and you want to get as many as you can off of him. But this play by Neuenhuis, I didn't think he was going to make it. I didn't think he was going to get there. But that play, it really cut down the momentum that the Phillies had going in that inning. And that is brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
Well, Neuenhuis came on because Michael Kadire was hit by a pitch, left the game for X-rays. The X-rays were negative. So Sean Gilmartin will be the new pitcher for the Mets, left-hander, against Chase Utley, and he floats one in for a strike. It's 0-1. Utley's had a good night tonight. He's picked up 2 RBIs, a solo home run, and an RBI single. Was hit by a pitch by Matt Harvey. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
First pitch at 68, second pitch at 90.
That selected Gilmartin in the Rule 5 draft this past December from the Atlanta Braves organization. That one's hit out toward right center field. Granderson on the run, out toward the track. It is gone! Second home run of the night for Chase Utley. It's now a 6-4 ball game.
That's going to screw all the lines up.
We'll just use a different color.
How loud was that? Get some earplugs.
3 RBIs tonight for Chase Utley. Well, I guess he's got his swing back. Take a listen.
Man. I was doing a radio show today earlier on this afternoon. They said, "Are you concerned about?"
Check swing, slow roller.
I said, "Are you concerned about Chase Utley at all because he's off to this poor start?" I said, "Short swings don't go into prolonged slumps." So, you know, it hasn't been a favorable start for him, but his swing tonight looks great.
Well, that's going to be it for Gilmartin. Utley just went over the scouting report with Cody Ashe on Gilmartin. But they're going to have to tinker with it. That'll be tucked away for later games. His night is done. They'll bring in the right-hander Rafael Montero. Phillies have made it a 2-run ball game again. 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning. We'll sit-down interview with the Union stalwart defender Ray Gaddis and find out what his secret to becoming one of the league's best lockdown defenders. That and much more on State of the Union. Coming up tonight at 11, right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Rafael Montero is the new pitcher for the Mets. Alfonso Marquez out to the mound to talk to Montero. Those are his numbers: 2 games, 5 strikeouts in 3 innings. The other day against the Braves, Montero was in the ballgame. He threw 35 straight fastballs. Here's Ruiz to start it off with 1 man down, and the first pitch, well, he's breaking that string right there. He throws him a breaking ball, and it's 1-0. Over to third, David Wright, glove side. Two away here in the 8th. .35 straight 4-seam fastballs. He also has a 2-seamer, and he didn't use it the other day, which Dan Warthen was pretty upset about. He was upset with not only Travis d'Arnaud but also with Montero that they didn't mix up the number of pitches. Here is Ashe, and Ashe takes way outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
That is an awful lot.
35 straight.
Especially, you see the radar gun there at 91. It's different if you're throwing 98. You can see that, but
well, they wanted him to come into this outing and use more off-speed pitches. He's used a couple. Ashe is 1 for 3, homered his 2nd time up tonight. Outside, 2-1. Montero last year started 8 games for the Mets. He pitched in 10 games overall.
oof. Sure, Alfonso got a couple. Didn't have to be from the dugout.
Well, that one didn't have to be. It's 3-2. .64 Mets on top. A home run by Utley in this inning has made it a 2-run game. And Ashe stays alive and fouls it away.
Tom, why does it feel like the Phillies have way more runs than 4?
Base runners?
I guess. The base runners and
the bases loaded situation.
Yeah. And they've hit 3 homers. I guess that probably also feels like it as well.
Yeah, all 3 home runs are solo home runs. Ball 4 and Ashe's aboard. 2-out walk. Citizens Bank Red Goes Green night will be Wednesday, April 22nd, when the Phillies take on the Miami Marlins. An MLB Network reusable tote free to all fans coming to the ballpark. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Here's Darren Ruff. This is the pitcher's spot. So Ruff will get a chance to bat. Darren hitting under 100, has 1 home run.
I would assume he'd get the start with Jonathan Neese on the mound tomorrow, lefty.
Will he get the start at first base or in the outfield?
I don't know Ryan Howard's numbers against Jonathan Neese.
It's a big outfield too. That's the only reason why you don't know if they would put Ruff out there. And I say that only because I don't know if they feel like he's the best defender out there. But I agree with you that in some way he'll be in the lineup. One ball, one strike. Low, 2-1.
Two good takes there by Darren. Means he's seen the ball well, not budging on those breaking balls. I'm going to say Howard won't be in there tomorrow. He's 4 for 26 with 12 Ks off Jonathan Neese.
I think it's a pretty good bet. I knew there were a lot of strikeouts. I didn't know what the at-bats were. 2-2 to Rupp with a runner at first base. Phil's down by 2. And he fouls it away to stay alive. Inside, it nearly hit him. Oh, he went around, says Dan Bellino. Darno realized it immediately and asked. The Phils get one back on the home run by Chase Utley. It's a 6-4 game as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Utley with his second home run of the night. He was cold coming in, cold no more. For greatest living Major League Baseball players. Go to MLB.com franchise 4 to cast your ballots. Winners will be revealed during the All-Star Game July 14th on Fox. Home half of the 8th inning, and it's up to Justin DeFreitas now to keep this Mets offense quiet. Phillies trail it by 2. David Wright, Lucas Duda, Kirk Neuenhuis are the scheduled hitters. Freitas' first slider is outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Numbers for Justin: a 2.45 ERA. Outside again.
People always wonder what you're looking for in a bat. How can you tell if it's a good bat or not? Take a look at this one. This one is as good as it gets. Talk about the grains in a bat. They're straight, they're far apart, and he, for some reason, he's a good player, but all the best lumber seems to go to the I mean, Tony Gwynn's bats used to be ridiculous. Edgar Martinez, he used to get the best grained bats. The grains are straight, they're far apart. It just means the bat's a lot harder. It will not flake, it will not splinter. You can still see the grains on that one, man. That's a 1 in a dozen, maybe 1 in 2 dozen bat right there.
You have to know somebody to get a better bat?
No, you got to be an all-star.
Oh, okay. What kind of bats did you have?
Mine looked like a newspaper folded flat. No, I got a couple good ones, but you get a good one like that, and man, that's a good piece of lumber.
2 balls, 2 strikes to David Wright. Off the hands, out of play, and it remains 2-2.
I remember some of Tony's bats would have like 6 to 9 grains on them. The whole thing. I mean, you look at it, it's like a piece of iron. Rock hard.
He's also using those lizard skin wrap on his handle.
Wrap.
Yep. 2-2 pitch now to right. And that one is looped out toward left center field, and it's going to drop for a base hit. His second hit of the night. Lucas Duda's coming up. Let's check in with Murph. Murph, take it away.
All right, Tom. All right, thank you, Tom. Time for the Major League Notebook. And a scary moment tonight at Progressive Field. Indian starter Carlos Carrasco hit with a line drive in the face on a comebacker from Melky Cabrera. He had to be taken off the field in a cart. The good news was he was conscious when taken off the field, but no updates on his condition yet. And how about the Detroit Tigers, guys? They are 7-1 on the young season, and they're about to get better. Justin Verlander is set to make a start in a simulated game tomorrow. About 60 pitches. As long as he feels good, they expect him back in their starting rotation. So that team at 7-1 is going to continue to get better as an all-star, and Justin Verlander going to come back into the rotation. Of course, he's coming back from triceps soreness that he had some tightness during spring training. So that would be his first start of the year. So a simulated game tomorrow, guys, about 60 pitches, and then you can see him back in the Tigers uniform.
The Tigers won tonight 2-0, and they've continued to rack up the shutouts since opening day. Lucas Duda's the batter. Murph, just as you were talking about Carrasco, Major League Baseball, or I should say the Indians, did say that it is just a contusion for Carrasco.
That is good news.
Yeah, the results have come back, so that is good news.
Yeah, it was a scary moment for sure. You saw the video of it earlier, and he really got smoked. It did tip off of his hand right before it hit him in the face, which probably helped him out. But certainly those comebackers are always scary.
1 ball and 1 strike. Or no balls and 2 strikes, I should say, to Duda. Overshift on. Cody Ashe joins Chase Utley on the right side of the diamond for Duda. Duda's got a couple of doubles tonight. He's walked. He has struck out. Hits that one the opposite way. He has a right-hander he's dealing with now. He faced Diekman his last time up and walked. He is still trying to convince the Mets that he's an everyday player, that he can play against all left-handers, even with the power numbers he put up last year.
Some managers just think it's a better matchup. They have a lefty on the mound, automatically they put more righties in the lineup. Now, some lefties will say if they're having a bad go of it, they like to face a lefty because it makes them stay on the baseball a little bit longer. It makes them stay in there, not pull off, work the other way.
You were a first-round pick, but it did benefit you in the mind of a manager that you were a switch hitter?
I think so. I mean, it's, you don't have to be pinch hit for. They bring a righty or lefty in the game, just move to the other side. Got to grab a different helmet and just go to the other side.
Just have to avoid the embarrassment of not finding that other helmet.
That's right.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Man alive.
Carlos saying something to Alfonso Marquez. He's not just facing forward and saying something. He's turned back and said something to him. That was a strike in the last inning.
You never see Chooch do that. Go to the slider here.
Runner goes. Pitch is taken for a strike. The throw to second base is not in time. David Wright has picked up his second stolen base. McGowan goes an inning, allows a run.
It's close.
David Wright slid in kind of hard on that. Bob Guerin and Ray Ramirez, the athletic trainer for the Mets, they're going out. I wonder if he did something either on the sprint or as he was going into the second base bag. He kind of came up awkward on the base.
He just said, "I'm all right."
See him kind of stretching out that right leg.
He rolled that right ankle on the bag.
I don't know. That was what he looked like he was stretching.
And that's a good job by Chooch there. Obviously it was a strike, but catchers at home, if you think there's a chance it is a strike, get up and throw it. If it's ball 4, it's ball 4. But the last thing you want to do is get caught off guard and not make that throw.
1 ball, no strikes to Neuenhuis. He's 0 for 2. He's popped out and he's gone down looking on strikes. Two balls, 2 strikes to Neuenhuis. Another lefty, Daniel Murphy, in the on-deck circle. The Phillies only have Diekman in the bullpen, left-hander, and they've already used him. And the pitch from DeFreitas. Check swing on a changeup. Did he go? No, says Tom Hallion. It's 3-2.
DeFreitas went with the changeup there. I thought maybe they'd either run that 2-seamer back inside or try and back foot that slider. He got him to swing at that 2-seamer earlier in the count. The 1-1 pitch.
Well, something's going on here. David Wright is walking over to Tom Goodwin. I think he's going to have to come out of this ball game. He's going to talk with Ray Ramirez. Yeah, he's taking himself out of this game. Something, he must realize that something's not right. So his night is going to be done. They've used John Mayberry. They've used Neuenhuis. They've used Ruben Tejada. Let's see how they're able to overcome this and what they're going to do. Anthony Recker is going to have to pinch run because they have nobody else. So they're going to have to reconfigure their infield. They've lost Kadire. Now they lose Wright. They're going to have to reconfigure their infield. And somebody who is not usually at an infield position is going to have to play an unfamiliar spot. Here's where he signaled to the dugout.
Wow. He walked off and then ran down the steps. Weird.
So 3 balls, 2 strikes to do it ice with Recker at second base. And he hits that one out towards center field. Herrera makes the catch. Recker tags from second, but just draws the throw. And now 2 away.
I would assume they'd maneuver the infield and have Recker play first. Recker is a catcher.
Catcher, yeah.
So be able to play first base, I would assume.
I wonder if they would put Duda out in the outfield and put Lagares over at third. Murphy will be intentionally walked, so they'll face d'Arnaud. Ball 3. Phillies half of the 9th inning. They'll have Revere, Francoeur, and then the top of the order. Bob Guerin has the lineup card. Terry Collins has been ejected from the game. So the intentional walk puts runners on first and second. Former Phil prospect Travis d'Arnaud, who has 2 hits tonight. He's 2 for 4. And he will bat. Did you ever come out from behind home plate and play another position in a tight spot?
I think I did. I think I probably went to first. That's the only other position I played.
Slider in there, 0-1.
You can only have so much speed in the outfield, Tom.
Seattle was a big ballpark, so was Qualcomm. He could have gone and gotten it. 0-1. Way outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Phillies had Travis's brother Chase in camp this past spring. Chase was a prospect in the Pirates organization, while Travis was a prospect in the Phils organization. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes to d'Arnaud. Here in the bottom of the 8th inning with 2 men down. And a half-hearted swing and a miss, and the side is retired. A little bit of jam.
Right on it.
For Justin DeFreitas. He leaves a couple. We'll go to the 9th. Ben Revere will start things off with the Phillies trailing the Mets by 2. comes off the bat of Lucas Duda, who had a couple doubles in this game.
Yeah, he gets a hanging breaky ball here and rifles it down the right field line, kicks around, all 3 runs score. And that helped the Mets get out to an early lead with a 4-1 lead. And that is W.B. Mason's delivery of the game.
So Lucas Duda, who's over at first base, throwing some grounders over to Anthony Recker, who's over at third base. And Recker, the backup catcher, will play third with the injury to David Wright. Recker, who went to Alvernia College, never played third base in the minor leagues. He played some first base. He also pitched a little bit in the minor leagues, but never played any third. Will take over for the injured David Wright there. Here's Juris Familia, who closed out yesterday's ball game.
I'm anxious to see what David Wright did. Could be a groin. I mean, he just gave no signs as to what it was.
The only thing we saw was he was stretching out his right leg. But again, that could be anything. Ben Revere leads it off. Jerry Blevins, who's a left-hander who Terry Collins has used as a closer, or thought he would use as a closer, depending on the matchup. He is not available for tonight's ball game because of his overuse over the last couple of days. Familia probably fits this role a little bit better. 1-0 pitch to Revere, and he pulls it. Diving stop, Duda quickly to his feet. 1-away. And Jeff Francoeur is due up.
A good play there by Lucas. Ben Revere hits it hard enough, breaks his bat. Duda has to be in, as there's a chance Ben would bunt.
Francoeur flied to left his first time up. Came on as part of a double switch, replacing Grady Sizemore. That one is hit a mile deep to left field. It is gone. A home run for Jeff Francoeur. Another solo shot for the Phils. It's now a 6-5 ball game. Where would that have gone in some ballparks? I mean, that was a home run off the bat.
Yeah. Man. That was a good swing. Talk about extension. Watch him hit the ball and then drive through it. That's how you get that backspin.
Home run number 2 for Francoeur. So now the Phillies down by 1 here in the top of the 9th inning with 1 man down.
Ball was killed.
It sure was. Here's Odubel Herrera. Herrera tonight is 0 for 4. Jabbed at it, 0-1. His average at 182. I remember the last time he struggled average-wise. Last year he was red hot. He was red hot the entire year, carried over to the Winter League season. Just heard them say that David Wright left with a right hamstring injury. 0-1 to Herrera. Two outs here in the 9th inning. Really just blew him away with a fastball.
Yeah, that was about as ugly a swing as you'll see. 98. I mean, Herrera right here is just, he never even got his foot closed.
No.
I don't know what he was doing there.
Last chance for Freddie Galvis, who is 0 for 3, hit by a pitch in the 3rd. Shows bunt, takes a strike, 0-1. Aside from Francoeur in his home run, these swings have been pretty funky against Familia. Looks like they're running out of the box.
Yeah, they're not picking it up.
0-2 pitch. A little more than 39,000 on hand tonight here at Citi Field. Swing and a miss. He got it with a towering fastball, and the ball game is over. The Mets have taken the first two. The Phillies have lost 3 straight. They lose tonight by a final of 6-5. In the 9th inning, 1 run on the home run by Jeff Francoeur. That was the only hit, and nobody left. Our Chevrolet player of the game is Lucas Duda. 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. Made the diving stab on the ground ball off the bat of Ben Revere. And the Phils will try to salvage this 3-game series tomorrow. They lose it tonight 6-5. We'll be back to talk a little bit more about it right after this.